So that student we were just talking about,
Yeah.
can you let them know we have a shortage of endocrinologists in the area?
I can. And actually, endocrinology could be good. I could see that because that's got
a lot of puzzle, right?
That's a lot of puzzling, but also a lot of patient-facing time.
Yes.
So, yeah.
The endocrine system is a puzzle.
It is. It is. It is a complicated little thing.
Well, I'm excited just to know that you're working with a student because I think you're so brilliant.
Oh,
You're such a good person.
thanks.
Hi, Amy.
Hi.
I'm so excited that you came to sit with me today and talk
Me too.
and record
This'll be
this.
fun.
Thank
Yeah.
you for your permission to record this and share it. I really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that. I feel like I should say that you're Dr. Amy Barrett, pediatrician.
Okay.
Just for the sake of introductions. I
Okay.
think people know me. I'm Emily.
Yeah.
And we're not looking at the camera because it embarrasses us. So we'll
Right.
try,
We're
try
going to
not
look at each other. I don't
gonna look
even,
at each other.
I'm not even
What
100%
camera?
sure what
What
which,
camera?
where we're going. Okay.
We are sitting at the Selfie Space recording studio. Memory Maker Photography in Subban Pantai is how you find out about that stuff. And we are together to sit and chat. And I sent you some questions.
Yes.
And if you've watched any of these discussions before, then you're familiar with the questions that I ask and the way that I talk and stuff like that. But we've known each other for such a long time.
Right.
You're pretty familiar with the way that I talk.
This is true.
And we just had breakfast together the other day.
Yes, we did.
That was really nice.
It was great.
So I have extra subtext that I want to talk about too as we go along.
Okay.
Lately, I've been thinking a lot about emotional resilience, specifically disappointment in social gatherings.
Okay.
But I want to shift a little bit.
Okay.
I have been thinking about clinging beliefs.
Okay.
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 And what it means in your life if you have to change that thinking. And let me give you a very simple example.
Okay.
Let's say that I've always thought there's only one way to get from Bangor, Maine to Brewer, Maine. One bridge.
Yep.
Joshua Chamberlain Bridge, the only way to get there. And I know it because it's the only thing I've ever done. It's the only way I've ever gone. It's the only way to go. I know it like I know this is a table.
Right.
Right? Like I know it. Everyone in my life goes the same way. They agree with me.
Yeah. That is how it's done.
That is how you get there.
Yeah.
And you say to me, actually, there are more ways. I'd love to. And I'm like, come on, right?
Right.
Don't waste my time, right? That's absurd.
Right.
But because we have a relationship, at some point, someday, I become willing to like suspend my beliefs in the off chance that you might have more information than I do, possibly because you love me and you're saying that you do.
Yeah.
So maybe I can suspend what I think to be true long enough to get in the car and ride with you to Brewer. Yeah. And you show me another bridge. And I'm in the car and I see it. I'm in Bangor. I'm in the car with you. We drive from one bridge across the river and here we are in Brewer.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard for me to ignore that there are more than one way. But
Yes.
I might not be able to deal with that.
That
right
could
then.
be hard. Yeah.
Right? That could be really,
Yeah.
really hard. So if I decide to believe there are, in fact, more ways to get to Brewer from Bangor,
Yep.
what does that mean for my social life? What does that mean for my insights and how I feel about my identity in that?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Okay, so that's what's humming
Okay.
in the back of my mind
Right.
while we're talking about this other stuff. You've been prepared.
Okay. I'm ready.
All right, so talk to me. I want to know, where do you see sacrifice in everyday life?
Honestly, every parent-child dyad.
Oh, talk to me about that.
So, I have
Dyad, partnership.
I have the privilege of getting windows inside families at their most vulnerable and sharing,
So in the doctor's office.
Yeah,
Okay.
at work.
Yes.
At work.
yes. Every day.
So every day I have conversations with parents who are making sacrifices for what they see as the needs of their children, of their families. Every day I see.
Can you say a little more about what those sacrifices are?
So sometimes they're very tangible. Sometimes they're, we have this much food and it's not enough for everybody to be full. So I'm going to make sure my kids are full
Yeah.
and then I will eat what's left.
Yep. That's a great example.
Sometimes it's, I grew up and I always wanted to do this career move, and then I became a mom, and I am deferring that, even though this is how I see myself eventually, for this opportunity to be here in a much more present way for my kids.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's sacrificing. Sometimes it's more than it should be, sacrificing their own well-being to make sure that their kids are getting the supports that they need. Or they think they are.
That's the way.
That's the way to do it.
Right.
And I also get to work with families within the foster care system. And so in some ways, the reverse of that is true. And it's not necessarily a cognizant.
Say more about that. What do you mean?
So the number of foster care kids that I see that have sacrificed their childhood innocence and moved into a caretaking role
in their foster family,
in their biologic family, and then it follows into their foster family, and it's a very hard thing for them to let go of this idea that they need to continue to take care of their younger siblings,
bear the burden,
and they need to make sure that they are okay.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I can
absolutely. So, and then even within my colleagues, I see, it's a caring profession. I mean, medicine is a profession that involves sacrifice, that really giving of yourself is an important part of what makes you a good provider.
Yeah. I think that I'm so glad you brought that up. I think that there is a thinking in the community of non-medical people that it's the opposite, that they think that the heart has died in medicine, that the doctors can't look at you anymore. They have to look at the computer, right? Or they don't have time to spend with you, or they don't get to see a doctor. They have to see an assistant, right? And there's this kind of idea that the compassion has died out of medicine. And I had a couple of nurses sitting here with me, and we were talking about sacrifice and how much we love our patients. Right. And so I'm glad to hear it again. I'm hearing another person talk about the heart that is in medicine.
Absolutely. And absolutely, the electronic medical record has a lot of
all day I could talk about it.
Requirements and things that aren't medicine.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that interaction with that patient and that family is what's most important.
Yep.
You can check the boxes later.
Yeah, it's a means to an end. It's fine for the administrators, right? They need their boxes checked because we can't work for free. We'd have to close, right? We can't work for free. I understand the boxes need to get checked.
Yep.
But if we can do it in a way that we can still have relationships with the patients. Right.
And that's, you can't practice medicine without that relationship. I mean, you can't. It
just goes around and around and around. It just spins. Nothing ever happens. No.
Right.
We never get anywhere. It's like being in a boat with no paddles.
Right. Exactly. That it's essential to have, and I think, it's true for everybody, but in pediatrics in particular, you have got to establish a degree of trust that these people are then willing to, basically give you their most precious, this amazing person they made.
Yeah.
And ask your advice, ask
And
for
all their
your help,
fear.
and all the worry,
Yeah.
and all the vulnerability, and all of the, it is a very, very important, like, you have to respect that people that are coming to see you are doing so because they trust that you can help.
Yeah. You're the one. Like,
Right.
you're the resource. You're the,
Right.
like, that's what we say. Well, you got to go see a doctor, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah. And
it.
so, and it's a strikingly humbling experience when you think about it. It really is.
I right now I'm doing mostly home health and hospice work, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
So do you remember when I was a housekeeper
I do.
and how much I love doing that work?
Yes.
So, because you get to go in someone's house and it's a very intimate relationship, right?
Absolutely.
It took us even a long time to work together because we were friends, and it's
Right.
a weird thing for your friend to be in your corners, your dirty corners and stuff, right?
Right.
Like, it's a
Yeah.
weird thing. You don't invite your friend to, like, do that.
Right.
So anyways, I loved doing that because of the nature of the intimacy of those relationships. It's so deep.
Yeah.
It's rich. And if you stay together, you watch their children grow up. You house sit for them when they're away, right?
Right.
Because you
Exactly.
already know their animals. You already know the key to get into their house.
Yeah.
So you end up developing this amazing relationship. And nursing in people's homes has given me the same type of opportunities.
Yep.
I get to go in their house, which immediately is already an intimate thing, right?
Right.
I'm
Absolutely.
a stranger invited into their home and treated like a resource, like someone with authority,
Right.
which is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
the grown-up in the room. It's kind of amazing.
It's true.
I always have a hands-free light, by the way. This is off topic, but if you are a home health worker,
Yeah.
highly, highly suggest having a headlamp.
Nice.
Because you're the only one. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
If you need a light, you can't. It's like, right? Or like,
Right. Yeah.
You need a headlamp. Anyways.
Nice.
I digress.
That's okay.
It's very useful. Think catheters.
Yeah. Yeah. I can
Okay,
see that. Yeah.
So I get to go in their house and have this intimate relationship with them in a very difficult time in their life, right? They're just getting home from the hospital, or they just found out that they have terminal illness. Or they've just decided to go on hospice, right? So
Right.
big things, stressful things, emotional things. And I get to go in during the midst of the stress and be a valuable resource to them. And if
Right.
I do it well, it's amazing.
Absolutely.
It's so amazing. It's so fun and gratifying.
Yep.
I just love it. And it doesn't feel like sacrifice, that stuff.
Right. Right.
But I suspect sometimes it is. Like, I usually carry a pair of slippers with me
Okay.
in the wintertime, and that's from being a housekeeper.
Right.
Right. Just
Yeah.
I used to always carry slippers when I was a housekeeper because you don't get the floor wet when you're leaving, kind of thing.
Right.
And I'll find a patient that lives alone with bare feet, and they get my slippers. You know, and that that's
Absolutely.
a kind of a sacrifice.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I think about sacrifice and for myself, and I'm looking for opportunities to do better. And that's why I started talking to people about this to begin with, and wanting to define it and hear how other people define it.
Right.
And I think I'm getting closer to a definition for myself of, what's the word I'm looking for? Subduing, like delaying my impulses. So if I want to pick up my phone,
Right.
right, but I don't because I sense that it could be perceived as impolite or disconnected or something like that, right? Some
Right.
negativity. So I choose to not pick up my phone and look at it, even though maybe I'm expecting a text or a phone call or notification or something like that.
Right.
How can you help me define sacrifice? So when you see it every day at work with your
Right.
colleagues or with the patients or
Right.
at home, wherever, can we name it?
So I think, for me, sacrifice is not necessarily a negative thing.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a deprivation. it's more where I see it, it's more of a choice and a consequence. So, it is actively choosing to, I would say, put someone else's needs over your own.
Can we say prioritize?
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think that's generally where I see that sacrifice.
You prioritize somebody else's needs over what your needs are in that moment.
In that moment,
whatever,
in that day,
decade,
in that,
whatever.
right, whenever.
Yeah. So a friend comes to mind that but I'm not going to say her name just in case she wouldn't want me to. But,
Sure.
Who sacrificed her, like you were talking about, goals, career kind of thing, to be there for her family because her family really needed her presence.
Right.
In that space for those years, literally just needed her to be there in the home available to them.
Right.
And they're grown up now. And she's really stretching out and traveling and seeing, just.
That's awesome.
It's so cool. But to reflect on her sacrifice was a real example to me of considering other people.
Right.
Right. Just considering their needs and prioritizing them in that way.
Right. Right. And I think that, when I was thinking about that and the meaning of sacrifice, I wanted to make sure that it didn't come across as like, this idea of like, I should or I could have done this, but instead I'm doing this. Because that's not. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The sacrifice.
There is no sacrifice if that's our attitude around it, right? Like I suspect I'm no expert. But for me, like I think if I'm begrudging about it, I'm in the wrong.
Right. Absolutely.
So I was talking to the nurses about values, and the word priority is what brought me back to values.
Okay. Yep.
And I've settled on these two words and sort of in a defiant way, because the book that I was reading and I love that you understand that civil disobedient thing in me.
Yeah.
I love that.
Absolutely.
So this book I was reading, they had said you need to pick 3 words. So I picked 2 because on you, right? Don't tell me what to do.
Right.
And, but I have a third now.
Oh, okay.
Over time. So my 2 words are peace and strength. And now my third is acceptance.
Okay.
But peaceful acceptance.
Okay.
Right? And that is me. That's what made me.
Yeah.
Okay. So the begrudging sacrifice, peaceful acceptance, like kind of
Right.
in the same vein, right?
Yeah.
So if let's say, I want to play music in the shower really, really loud, but I know it's really going to bother Jason.
Okay.
If I say to myself or out loud even, fine, I won't do what I want, right? Or I won't turn the music on, but later I'll say something like, you're welcome for not turning the music on because I knew it would bother you.
Right.
There's no sacrifice there, right? Like
that's
gross.
manipulation.
It's manipulation. That's a great word to throw on there.
Yeah.
And I think that I have definitely been guilty of those lines of thinking, from time to time, even maybe today, possibly.
I mean, I think
possible.
we're human.
Yeah.
And so that is sometimes going to be where we are. And, I think that it's important to try to recognize it and to name it and then say, all right, I'm going to try to do better.
Because if we recognize it and name it, now we have paddles in our boat.
Right.
Right. Were we on camera when we were talking about the boat with no paddles earlier?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Because that would be a weird reference if they didn't hear us talking about it.
Yeah, I think we.
So now you have paddles in your boat.
Right.
You can go somewhere.
Right. Exactly.
I appreciate the thought that you have put into this. And you've given me some new things to think about, and that's what I want. That's exactly what I was hoping for.
Great.
So we've talked about one question.
Okay.
How are we doing on time? We're good.
I don't know.
We're doing good. Doesn't really matter. We just do what we want.
Good.
So the second question is, you can tell when someone is good by
how thoughtful they are. And I don't mean thoughtful, like polite thoughtful. That was so thoughtful of you. Those sorts of things. That they are aware of that they are aware and attentive to the humanity of others, that they are aware and attentive to their own impact on those around them, their words, their actions, their
Nice.
and that
Even
they,
just cognizant.
right,
Yeah.
and that they work on having those impacts be positive in a way that is available to the other people. So not necessarily positive for themselves.
Yeah, but
although
it's accessible to the community.
that it's accessible to the community or even just the other person. That there's that connection that they cultivate. I think good people cultivate
Cool.
that.
Let me write that too. Cultivate. Good people cultivate that. There's a lot. There's a lot in those words that you said. I wrote a few down.
Okay.
How thoughtful they are, I thought was a great way to start off talking about that. And that you were careful to really elaborate what you meant by that. Because that's like we take that for granted, right? I'm thinking of you.
Right.
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 Kind of thing.
This is much deeper than that.
Yeah. But when you, like, I'll get a text in like July from a friend I haven't talked to for a long time. And they say, hey, I remembered your brother died in July. Like, I'm thinking of you.
Right.
Different.
That is different.
Right. That's a different kind of, that's someone being attentive to your humanness and their own potential impact on your life.
Right.
Right? Am I getting that?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And they're, making a point of making that connection and cultivating that.
Yeah, that deliberately being engaged in cultivating it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you deliberately engage in cultivating goodness?
You look for the humanity.
How do I do that?
You look for those moments. I mean, we talked about how I've had, family members that I've had disagreements with.
Yes.
And then I've...
Not Becky. We're not talking about Becky.
No, we're not
Keep
talking
going.
about Becky. Yeah. I don't think I've ever disagreed with her. She's always right. Anyway.
Becky's always right.
Becky is always
Okay.
right. But...
we're breaking in just a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
But then seeing the relationship with other members of the family, seeing that person interacting with small little people that we've got in our families, you see that humanity. That
I know just what you're talking about. Yeah.
When someone's sitting in my office, and I'll sometimes say, so. And I try to do this when we're in the middle of discussions that are hard. Like I don't like this that person does, and sometimes in like the challenges of pre-teeniness.
Yeah.
Right, and so that's sometimes a hard time for parents, and so sometimes just kind of saying, so what do you like best about them?
Let's pause right there.
Okay.
What do you like best about them? So we were just a quick break reset, and we were just talking about how do we cultivate that those opportunities to build goodness. And you were just talking about families and preteening, and we said, what do you like best about them?
Like, what is your favorite thing about them? What do you guys enjoy doing together? Like, where, just kind of calling to mind those connections.
Yeah,
because they're there.
I'm going to take this back to me and Jason.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm in the house.
Okay.
And all I can think about is how annoyed I am. Right? There's crap on the island or whatever. I tripped over something, or this door was closed or that fan was on, right? A million things. And just,
Right.
but like every little thing I'm like, "Argh," and all I can think about is how annoyed I am.
Right.
But if I'm able to consider like changing my focus,
Right.
what do I like best about him?
Right. Exactly.
Right? Same
Yeah.
kind of, just
Same
thinking of
sort
how you could
of,
employ
like-
this like on many different levels.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Cultivate
that awareness.
looking for the humanity. So if I consider him as a person who lives with me, that we love each other, and he wouldn't want to hurt me, and he's not trying to drive me crazy, I might be able to see the humanity, and that
Right.
he's just existing in a way that is not exactly the same way that I exist.
Exactly. Yeah. That and that's true for all of us.
Yes.
Like
Right.
any household is going to have
Or office,
or office
or dorm, or
or
roommate situation,
or classroom
Yes.
or any
lunch line.
right.
Anything. So looking for the humanity, turning your mind. So for me, that would translate to deliberately building thinking patterns around that.
Right.
Like I might even have to make myself a reminder. I'll make a little sign and put it on my mirror in the morning when I'm brushing my teeth to give me a reminder to
Right.
fix my thinking.
Right. Exactly.
Because it's me. It's always me.
It's always all of us sometimes.
It's always all of us. That's the good news, though.
everybody everybody has those moments. I mean, nobody, that's why we're still cultivating it.
Yeah.
Because nobody's got it down yet.
Right. I have been finding that it seems like when we're engaged in service work,
Yes.
anyone and any service, if we're really engaged in it, that those magic opportunities are much easier to cultivate.
They
So
are.
I try to fill my life up with more service work so that it helps me look for people's humanity more.
Oh, I think that's great.
I tend to look for instead of looking for things to cheer for.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think, unfortunately, that's, human nature sometimes.
It is. Yeah.
If you can, too often people spend time being grateful that that's not them
Yeah. Oh.
instead of seeing that could be them.
Right.
Under
Or
the right
yeah.
circumstances.
Right.
Or seeing that experience.
That's different. That is a different kind of empathetic thinking, right? Like
Yeah.
seeing someone and saying to yourself, "Oh, I'm sorry about that," is different than thinking, "Wow, that must be so hard. I wonder if there's something I could do."
Right.
Or I wonder how easy it would be for me to end up in that circumstance.
Right.
Yeah. Different.
It
It's
is
a different
different.
kind of thinking.
It is a different kind of
That's
thinking.
interesting. I'm just writing build empathy under where I wrote about cultivating the goodness.
Right.
So that's 2 questions.
Okay.
There's another one.
Okay.
The third question is, and it might go right in line with everything else, but what do you wish people would just figure out already?
That if we take care of each other, then everything will get better.
It's almost like I gave her a script.
Like it just.
So I want you to just let that rip. Or do you feel prepared to just ramble about that a little
Oh
bit?
yeah. Yeah.
I would love to hear you just charge into
Okay.
that. If we
Okay.
just take care of each other, everything will get better, is what you just said.
That's exactly what
Now
I
I
just
want
said.
you to support your thesis.
Okay. So if everyone thought about their actions and the impact on other people, if everyone shared to the ability that they could with others, if everyone brought their gifts together and recognize the gifts that other people have, everybody has some expertise, everybody has something worth sharing, everybody has something to learn from everybody
bring to the
else.
table, right? This is
Absolutely.
the family table. What do you bring to the table? I'll
Right.
bring the plates. You bring the cups. You bring I'll bring the
Exactly.
music. I'll bring right.
Right.
Yeah.
And if people could only do that, then problems could get solved. Every problem we have, from the littlest, tiniest little problem to like the biggest problems that are happening in the world right now,
This big scary stuff.
Yeah, the big
Yeah,
scary
the stuff that
stuff.
people are like right now. People are afraid to leave their house. They're afraid
Yes.
to wear the clothes they want to wear. They're afraid to spend time with people they want to spend time with. Like so many things. Show up to work. Do I have a job? Am I going to have a job when I wake up in the morning?
Right.
Big scary stuff.
It's big scary stuff, and it doesn't have to be that way. We could do, and we should do better. Like we should see the value in everyone.
How can we imagine it's just me and you talking and we don't have an audience and stuff. But what are action steps day to day, everyday life types of actions? So we talked a little bit about like changing your thinking. Like I talked about how I would do that. Yeah. So if I want to change my thinking, like if I want to lose weight, I need to make a bunch of changes. I got to change my thinking. I got to change how I feel about whatever. Like there's so many things. And that is different for all of us too, right? Like I have to come to terms with different things psychologically maybe than you would if you were on a health track and I was on a health track. We'd have different priorities and different reasons and all of that.
100%.
But I would need to take action every day. Small, meaningful interventions, right? That's one. Let me give credit to who wrote that. It was in the Happiness Advantage. Sean Acor, Happiness Advantage. Huh. Small, meaningful interventions, but consistently, over and over and over again. I think that that's true for changing your thinking too. Like if I want to stop swearing or I want to lose weight or.
Absolutely.
Small, meaningful interventions. So how can we, on a day-to-day basis, what are some action things that we can do to be moving? Because I suspect that some people listening might think that that sounds like a darn tall order.
Oh, it is.
And overwhelming. Right?
Okay.
And to think of it as like, well, we need world peace. We sure do.
Yes.
Everything would be better if we had world peace. But how can we take action every day in our small life in a meaningful way consistently?
So I think challenging any preconceived notions in some way.
Clinging beliefs.
Yeah.
Full circle. Okay, keep talking. Challenge. Challenge old ideas.
So, if you think that, let's just say, you think that God has decided that this is the only way you can live. That,
some authority.
Some authority somewhere
God,
says,
president, whoever you want
whoever, that this
Mom,
is the
Dad.
only way you can exist. And yet other people seem to exist outside of that.
There's only one way to get to Brewer.
Maybe trying to start a conversation. We all have people that live differently than we do in our circle somewhere. They might be on the outer skirts of our circle.
Sure.
They might be just people we see. They might be people that work in the same building, but not necessarily people we have a close connection to. But I think starting with conversation and not judgment, just the beginning of polite conversation. How was your weekend? What did you do?
I am thinking of the word curious instead of decisive.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So you approach the discussion hopefully with a curious attitude.
Right. And not in so tell me how it is that you feel, this thing that I can't imagine ever feeling. That's,
somebody said to me one time, so since you know so much, tell me this. Right? Like that.
Right.
That's not empathetic. It's not curious. It's antagonistic.
Right. Exactly.
Right? That's argumentative.
Right. And it's not that other person's job to change your viewpoint.
Right. Or justify
their existence to you.
None of that.
So just to start.
And it could be
broadening.
It doesn't have to be like, I think people will automatically be thinking of like Democrat, Republican. It doesn't have to be that. This could be something that comes up in your house over and over again. That's a perpetual fight that keeps coming up, a conflict. Like, pineapple on your pizza, right? Like
Right.
there's a whole group of people who think Hawaiian pizza is amazing and other people that think it's terrible.
Right.
Right? Like even that scale, we could approach the table with curiosity
Right.
instead of judgment.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's simpler to think of it in those terms because it's less emotional.
Right.
But the idea of sometimes it's hard for people to get out of that snarky kind of, since you know so much, kind of attitude and vibe.
Right. Right. And so I think it has to be a conscious decision.
Yeah.
I think you have to kind of say, and it doesn't have to be a big conversation, but that just saying, so what'd you do last night?
Yeah.
Or how was, boy, we had a lot of snow. I mean,
Tell me what you do for fun. Are you the one that shovels at your house?
Right, exactly.
Right,
I mean, weather's always a safe topic in Maine.
Pretty safe.
But that starts that humanity.
Yeah.
Again, that starts seeing them as an individual, as a person that's maybe different than you in some way,
Sure.
but not lesser.
And you can, instead of thinking about that thing,
Right.
you're thinking about something else and deliberately engaging in an opportunity to
Right.
build connection
Right.
in a positive, constructing,
Right.
yeah.
And then once you've established that humanity and demonstrated that you are human too,
Yeah.
because they may be bringing a similar,
Sure.
the initial reaction might be, why are you talking to me?
Yes. Sometimes that happens.
Right.
Yeah.
And so to bring that will help both people.
Yeah, especially if it's like somebody you've never really clicked with, but
Right.
you spend time around them and you've never really been very friendly. If
Yeah.
anything, maybe you've even been a little prickly. And all of a sudden you're asking me about the weather.
Right.
Why are you talking
Yeah.
to me? Right.
You okay? What's going on?
Yeah, there can be
Right.
tricky social
Right.
stuff there.
Right.
But it's worth it. I think it's worth it.
It absolutely is, because it then, and maybe, the initial one is a super abrupt, like, yep, it's snowing.
Right. And
I
they
gotta
don't
go to work, and they don't
right.
want to respond. But like if you do it again another time,
It's a pretty good chance.
that
Something
you're going to
will
get
change.
you'll get a little more. You'll get a little bit
Yeah.
closer. And, you don't have to be best friends at the end of the day.
Not
you
at
just
all.
need to see that
Their
we're-
humanity. I really
Yeah.
like that you keep using that phrase, really just see their humanness. It's easy, I think, especially since COVID, because we sort of embraced the disconnectedness.
We did.
Yeah, and
We
we
did.
found ways to be successful and disconnected.
Right.
Right? We really worked hard.
And this normalcy of being able to put up those barriers
Yeah.
and being able to not think about the impact.
Yeah.
Because
I have to
there
just
was
think
so
about
much
myself.
and there's so
I
much
can't.
more opportunity to be
I need to go buy all the toilet paper
relatively
and I need to stay home.
anonymous, and I'm going to talk about this online,
Oh,
and
my
I'm going
word,
to and
that
I
exploded.
and that I can just say whatever I want,
And we hide.
and there's no impact, because you know what, if somebody doesn't agree with it, I can just not watch.
Yeah, I just turn
I
it
could
off.
just-
I don't
yeah.
have to think about this
I
ever
don't
again.
have to do this. I
Meanwhile-
said my piece, but that loses that impact
Yeah.
of those actions
Wow.
and that connectedness that makes us good people. Is that thoughtfulness around what is the impact of this going to be?
Yeah, and that that id brain, right? That we have to shush,
Yeah.
right? Like I want what I want and I want it now.
Right.
That voice.
Right. That voice, shouldn't speak up too much.
Hopefully it doesn't rule me.
Exactly.
Like I need a balance, because I think I said at least once already since we've been sitting here, that we just do what we want.
Yeah.
So like I have a tendency to be in that lane, like get out of my way. I'm
and-
probably right. So if you could just move.
Well, and I think we all have those times.
Sure.
We absolutely do. Like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it my way.
And that's probably why that idea about curiosity and decisiveness came to mind, because this is stuff that I study, because I will come to the table decided.
Yeah.
I'm right. We need to do it this way.
Right.
And for the love of Pete, let's get at it with a sense of urgency, please.
Right. Right. Yeah. We don't need to talk about it anymore. We know
Right.
what needs to be done.
But there's no growth there. There's no collaboration, right? That's
Right.
just the path of least resistance.
Right. Exactly.
Which
and
is
that's
so appealing.
I know. And that's the part, from the administrative side, like when I do medical director stuff.
Yeah.
That's the part I have to work the hardest on because I come to meetings and I think I know what we need to do.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of waiting for people to come around to the decision that seems blatantly obvious to me.
Right. But like 7 other people have 7 other ideas.
Right. And then we get to the end of the meeting and all we've done is we've agreed to meet again.
Yeah.
And that is
Nothing
is
happens.
hard for me. And I'm
Me too.
actively working on getting better at being more open and if I have time to reflect, then I can do it.
Yeah.
But if
we need to make a
in
decision,
the moment,
yeah.
that's harder. It's
is.
still something I'm working on.
Yeah.
Which, that's I guess the other thing that I would say is important for good people recognize that they're not done yet. Like,
I like that.
nobody who has, everybody has some goodness. But
I agree.
No
some people
one,
disagree with that. Did you know that? Some people disagree with that.
No,
I think you're right, though. I think everybody has at least some goodness.
Right.
Good people see they're not done.
They're not, they still have things they can work on. They don't always succeed. And they learn from that and they work on trying to do better.
I can think of getting stuck in this other idea that is so important, what you're saying. Good people see that they're not done yet. They're still learning. They're still growing. There's still
Right.
work to do, right?
Exactly.
I think we tend to get in this thinking of when I get this, then I'll be happy,
Right.
right? And that kind of goes in that same, right? If we're thinking about our accomplishment is met here. So like when I get that job, I'll be happy. When I get this pay, I'll be happy. When I get
Right.
that boyfriend or girlfriend, I'll be happy. When I have a house, then I can start blah, 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 whatever it is.
Right.
And so that idea will prevent us from ever finding happiness, right?
Absolutely.
Because the studies show, data shows, if we pursue joy, success comes.
Right.
So if we can remember that looking after one another brings joy and pursuing joy brings success, then looking after one another is how we fix everything. And it sounds so simple,
It does.
but it's a giant thing.
It's a giant thing.
And it's constant, kind of ongoing on every scale, right? Big and small.
Right.
In my house, how I am, like with my husband, my dogs, how I am at work, how I am with you,
Right.
to even bigger. At church right now, I have my volunteer work there is over the adult women in this area. So it's a rather larger scale service job.
Right.
But at the same time, like I have to employ these same things because I'm with humans.
Right.
They're everywhere.
They are.
Humans are just
They
everywhere.
are.
It's so annoying, but also wonderful,
Right.
right?
There's so much opportunity.
Like the bad
to learn
news
and
is
to
when
see.
I am the problem, I am the problem. But the good news is I am the problem
Right.
because I can't fix
can't-
you. I can only
Right.
fix me.
Exactly.
Hopefully I want to.
Right.
This other phrase comes to mind too of being engaged in trying to improve. So thinking about this, good people see that they're not done. Not just that idea of if then kind of consequential thinking or conditional thinking.
Right.
But also the idea of how can I do this better?
Right.
Can I take it further?
Right. Can I take it further? If something doesn't go, so if I have an interaction with a parent or with a patient and I think, I didn't feel the same connection.
Yeah.
And so what what can I learn? What can I do differently the next time? And, acknowledging that in the moment.
Could have gone better.
I feel like this could have, that we didn't really connect, that we're maybe not
Say it right to the
seeing-
parent, right
Absolutely.
in the moment. Yeah, good.
Absolutely. What else are you thinking? What else can I do to help you?
What have we not discussed?
I feel like there's something else we need to talk about.
Are you able to do that when you notice that it's happening?
Oh, yes.
And you have good outcomes?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
It opens for more connecting.
It does.
Wow.
It does. I see you look, a little frustrated right now.
right
Can you
on.
help me understand what is not being met? Like what am I missing? What is not sitting well with you right now?
That is a really terrific example that we can use in any human interaction.
Absolutely.
Like at work, how often do we have people personality conflicts, right? Work to work, right? Staff to staff.
Right.
And if we could say to each other in the moment, hey, like I feel like I've upset you.
Right.
I feel like there's tension here. Your face is telling me I said something not nice.
Right.
Can we talk about it?
Right.
Can we shake it out? And they might not. They might say, they might run away. They might look at you like you're crazy. Like they might not be prepared to have that discussion.
Right. It's true.
But it can be really meaningful if you're able to open it up in the moment. And then even better, if there's other people around, because it takes the shame away from it.
Right.
If we do it together, we talk about it together, it's not shameful hiding behind a door and just, I feel like I hurt your feelings. Can we talk about it?
Right.
Like maybe we could talk about that out in the hall. Hey, you look upset. Do you want to talk?
Right.
And maybe then we go
Right.
in private or something.
Sure. Absolutely. But I think it's, I feel like part of my job as a pediatrician is to help the next generation of people with their emotional intelligence, with their recognition of
I'm so glad you
all
feel
of
that
these
way.
things that, and having those conversations and being transparent in the room and encouraging parents to be transparent.
Yeah, that's
and
hard.
to name those emotions.
They tell us to play our cards close, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. That is a really hard thing.
Show your
And
hand.
so-
If it can be done safely, show your hand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You've given me so much to think about, Amy. Good. And we even talked about that subtext without even trying.
Right.
Right? It came right around those
it
clinging
came right
beliefs and moving out of that.
Yeah.
So we just got the signal that it's time to wrap.
Oh, it's done. Okay.
But that, 5 minutes. He's given us this producer extraordinaire over there.
Oh, yeah.
But it's the natural time to wrap anyways.
Yeah,
It was
I
just
think we
right.
could.
Just right. Thank you so much for coming to sit with me.
Of course. Thanks for inviting me. This was fun.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Maybe we could book another one with some follow-up questions.
Sure.
Oh, that's delightful.
Yeah.
Do you think your darling husband would tolerate sitting here with me?
Yeah, I think you would.
Yeah. I think this would be fun with Dave too.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we'll see if we can convince him.
Because he is really good at seeing the humanity of people.
He's
and
so smart and he's so
and
fun.
recognizing, and yeah,
He's good.
he's really
He's
good.
so good.
He is a good
Yeah.
person.
So we'll get him in here and see if he'll sit and chat with me and we'll laugh and
Yeah.
maybe we'll play airplanes like we used to do in Taekwondo or something.
Yes.
I miss him. Thank you, Amy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Subhan.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate you and this amazing setup. Oh, let's take a quick picture.
Okay.
We'll take a selfie.
Okay.
Nice. With our headphones.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you.
Take care. I'll see you soon. We'll do
Yes.
this again.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.